Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This week's show, we're talking about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Daredevil Born Again, Season 1, Episode 8. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. This is kind of the episode of it being the penultimate episode of the season. Very befitting. This is kind of the episode where all the cards are kind of on the table. For the most part, there's still some things some people don't know, but still, it's just, this is the episode of cards being revealed. Once again, beautiful parallels of they've done it throughout the season and continue to do it. It's interesting because Fisk in this episode is kind of, everything's getting revealed and he's coming out on top, as he's kind of embracing more of this new version of Kingpin. It is that thing of, there is an element of, yes, he wants to save his city, he's just going about it the wrong way, but also he's fine with that, but also it's like he believes what he does is for the greater good, so he justifies everything that he does. And so he reveals to Vanessa the whole Adam of it all, and Adam's like, I didn't know, because the biggest question people are like, how are you going to get with Vanessa, not thinking you were going to suffer some ramification because she's Wilson Fisk's wife? But it's like, I guess he didn't know who Vanessa was. For whatever reason, he just didn't know who she was, and probably didn't find out until well after the affair had already happened. Like, wait, you're the Kingpin's wife? No, and now he's having to suffer the consequences of it. And obviously Fisk is like, I can't live with that. He's like, look, I promised you I wouldn't kill him, and look, I didn't. But it's kind of interesting. He puts a choice in her hands now. It's like, right, two things on the table. There's the key and there's a gun. And you're like, yeah, he's leaving it up to her. It's like, you'll decide Adam's fate. He's like, I didn't know. I won't say a word about any of this. You can just let me go. You can just let me go. He's like, I'm not a part of this, because that's something Vanessa was like, he's not a part of this world. The whole Luca of it all, she's like, yeah, he was gunning for the throne. He was a punk acting like he was running things. So he needed to kind of be put in his place. And so it's kind of like, yeah, and he's like, I understand all that I put you through. And I know for you, it feels like I'm tossing away everything that we've built on the criminal side of things. But it's like, no, I'm transforming it into something legitimate. I'm trying to ensure our future. And that way, nothing could ever take it away from us again. So I understand, but I want to move away from the criminality, because you can almost make the argument oh, I got into the criminal hood that is politics. And even though things are corrupt here, and it's kind of it can be viewed, if you want to be very pessimistic, like I said, you could look at it as depending on your perspective, you can look at the police, especially in this case the task force, as essentially a gang, because you're just gangs with badges, and they are legally allowed to own the guns that they do. But Fisk is in the same boat of right, there's the criminal world, which is illegitimate and legal and all that, but here's some criminal stuff you can do legally as the mayor and in politics. So it's transforming it into something that could be malleable to what we need it to be. Once again, he does believe it is for the greater good. But yeah, Vanessa knows she kind of has no choice, because she knows well, I can't, you are a risk now. You are a risk into a lot of stuff that we built, because Fisk did what he did. It's you can't guarantee that Adam will be quiet. And it's also the way to show your, I guess, allegiances to Fisk, being no, I am with you, honey. I'm ready to kind of repair our relationship. This, as she says later on, basically burying the sins of the past. And so she kills Adam. I also wasn't halfway expecting the headshot at it. She popped him a few times and then headshot. I was like, ooh. And then cutting from them, getting closer and embracing, literally Adam's head peeking out in the background to the, and it's symbolism. But then also panning over to the painting with, the white painting with the splatter. So it's perfectly symbolic in so many ways. And then when having the complicated nature of, like I said, everything's coming up Mayor Fisk, while everything's for Matt, it's kind of devolving and falling apart. Him and Heather are falling, because for her, it's yeah, she went through something traumatic. She killed Muse, but also she's using that as kind of inspiration for her writings about vigilantes, because she puts Muse and Daredevil in the same breath, and it's no. He's they're not the same. He tried to kill you. Daredevil tried to save you. She's no, Daredevil was in it for himself. It's no, Matt showed up to save you, but it's also we had that personal connection in your mind, it's just kind of like you're lumping all mass together. It's like, yeah, that I mean, when you're going through something traumatic like that, you're not going to always see things clearly. Because for her, it's like, yeah, he might have been who's his, because in her mind, it's like he's just after Muse. He wasn't there to save me. It's like, no, he specifically came to save you, but you don't have the connection of, well, it was Matt found out you were a potential victim, and so he came to save you, but you don't have that perspective. You just look at it as like, oh, this is a vigilante just out doing what, I mean, I'm sure in her mind it's the same thing as like the Punisher. The Punisher does bad, he takes out bad people. He's not going out of his way to save people. I'm not saying that is what Frank's situation is. I'm saying that could be her perspective on things. So yeah, I just thought that was so but yeah, like they had that debate back and forth on, about vigilantes and stuff like that, because she already came into it with her perspective of, once again, she had already kind of thrown it out there. Is that the true self, the mask, or is it a situation of, is it an excuse to kind of act more animalistic in a lot of ways? And so she's looking at it more animalistically now, just because of everything that she went through, that trauma and that, and she's kind of worked through, I mean, especially as a therapist, I think it's almost like doctors, like, right, they make the whole point of doctors make the worst patients. I'm sure therapists make the worst patients. There's even been shows and stuff that kind of cover that, like scripted shows, obviously, nothing unscripted. But yeah, I would assume like she's kind of handling things in her own way, and how her brain kind of deals with everything as a therapist versus how like any other person would probably handle it a little differently. But then they get a visit from Buck, who's like, hey, the mayor's invited you to this black tie event. Suit and tie event, and you're like, oh, okay, I see what this is. And now, like, that's like, wait, why did that guy show up? Why is the mayor because even Matt asked, wait, how did the mayor know she was here? And it's like, yeah, you didn't immediately go to her place. You knew exactly that she was at Matt's place. And so it's like, how do you know that, man? It's like, is he a client of yours? And she's like, I can't answer that. And it's like, he is, isn't he? It's like, that man is not a good guy. And then she's kind of like, yeah, but what Mayor Fisk is doing with this whole, like, I mean, you yourself know it's kind of bullshit. Because she's like, yeah, they're rallying up this task force like they did something. You yourself know Daredevil came to save you, and none of that's mentioned. They're making it seem like the task force did it. But she's also fine with it, because it's like, she did what she did. Let them kind of take that. I got to live with the pain and trauma. They want to, like, take the, like, hurrah for like killing Muse and taking him down, sure, whatever, take that off me a little bit. It's just a lot to process, I'm sure, but still, it's just kind of like, he's on some bullshit if like this narrative is already out there about the task force taking down Muse and stuff, when you are in fact the one who killed Muse. So but Matt wants nothing to do. He's like, fine, you go. I wasn't invited. She's like, yeah, but it's asked for me and the guest. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So it's like, okay, so now once again, Matt's finding out everything at the worst possible time. And the biggest question has been, did Fisk approach her knowing that something was brewing between her and Matt? He's probably, like, ever since coming back, he's kept tabs on Matt for the purposes of, I need to find out if you're out there vigilanteing it up or not. And obviously episode 6, episode 7 he finds out, but episode 6 obviously being the first time Matt like fully suited up as Daredevil. You doing stuff as Matt Murdock is different than you just being suited up and fully embracing the Daredevil at all. But like I said, it's interesting, like Matt's trying to, like, all sides of him coming together, but they're coming in conflict with each other. Whereas like Fisk, it feels like all sides are coming together and there's harmony between them, and that's the irony behind it, that he's okay and Matt's not. And I think that dynamic has come up before previously, of Fisk being okay and Matt not being okay. Then Matt's going to work, kind of trying to distract himself from all that. Then he finds out from Kirsten, like, oh yeah, Poindexter was moved from where he was, kind of like, I guess, solitary confinement, or just like he's locked away separate from everyone else, but then they move him to Gen Pop, which is obviously not the best thing. Like, yes, Bullseye is skilled, but you're literally hamstringing him because you're taking away his one capability. It's like, yeah, you want to make sure he doesn't take a single thing with him. So in Gen Pop, it's like, yeah, he can defend himself, but he's literally hamstrung from not using his superpower. So, but he wants to get in contact with Matt. And Kirsten's like, I probably shouldn't have even told you that, but it's like, you shouldn't visit him. He shouldn't talk to you. You don't even have to think about him. Let's focus on our client. But Matt's got that running through his mind. He's got the Fisk and Heather of it running through his mind. And it's just like, so their client is on some bullshit. And he's just like, I know you're lying. Like, the fact of the matter is, you are a client. We're going to defend you. You know, obviously there's no being witty or some sly talk or, there's no lawyering in that moment. Matt's just spiraling right now, and he's just like, all right, come to us when you want to make a plea deal. And Kirsten's like, you shouldn't have done that. She's like, I should. He's just like, everything that's happening. It's like the task force, the muse of it all, Hector. And it's just like that same task force is out there that most likely has something to do with Hector's death. And it's just, for him, it's like, in this moment, it just feels like I can do so much more as Daredevil than I can as Matt Murdock. It's almost like, what have I been doing there for this past year, trying to believe in the law and stuff like that? But look at all this. It's like, it almost feels useless. It's just all culminated in this of like a year of him just trying to do the right thing, believing he can do things as Matt Murdock. And then just, once again, that devil has been encroaching more and more as time's going by. And then even more so now with all this going down. And it's just like, would I be better off have just kept my life what it was? And it's just tiring, and he just wants to kind of bail away from all of this. And so what does he do? He goes to Josie's, and she offers him, talks to him a little bit, because she says she kind of wants to reopen the place, but it's like, well, who's going to come here after everything that went down after Bullseye went on his spree? But then, she's like, yeah, the mayor's offering like payments and stuff like that, but she's like, I would never take a cent from that man. Cherry comes to check on Matt, and Matt's like, Poindexter wants to see me. I think Fisk has something to do with Foggy's death. I mean, no, he doesn't get to that point yet. He's like, I forgot what he was initially talking with Cherry about, until they got to the drink, and Josie's like, yeah, we never got to finish. It's like, Foggy never got his, but then Matt's like, no, like, Foggy wouldn't have ordered that. It's like, she's like, well, yes, I remember what my clients, she's like, I know what my customers order. And he's like, Foggy was celebrating early. He already knew he was winning a case. So it's like, she's like, so Matt's putting together, he was killed beforehand. Someone killed him to silence him because they knew he was going to win the case. Foggy knew it. So he immediately goes to see Bullseye. It's like, I know Fisk hired you, didn't? And like, he wanted to keep Foggy. He killed Foggy, even though he clearly says in episode 1, I had nothing to do with your friend's death. But Matt's like, nah, that's bullshit now. And like, I know, because also Matt's in a mind state where he's just thinking Fisk. Like, Fisk lives rent free in his head. Not necessarily rent free, but it's like, considering your history, like, that man's always going to have room and space in your head. So for Matt, it's like, I know he had to have something to do with Foggy's death. And he's asking Bullseye, and Bullseye's, hey, you got to get me out of Gen Pop, like, to give me answers. And he's like, I'm not lying. And Matt kind of knows, but he also can't trust anything that comes out of, like, even his powers, he can't necessarily trust Bullseye enough. So Matt slamming his head against the, I thought that, because Bullseye immediately goes like, oh, thanks for that, counselor. And I didn't know if like Matt did that, like, oh, I get to let out a little bit of my rage, but I'm also helping you out by putting you in jail. Like, you're going to be in medical for a bit. But it could also just be like, considering what Bullseye does later, that's why he was thinking. He was like, oh, thanks, buddy, you helped me out. I think it's just kind of like, Matt probably took it the way I initially did, like, well, you get a reprieve from Gen Pop by being in the infirmary, but like, no, Matt doesn't know, like, he ended up helping him a lot more. It's like, yeah, that's kind of on you. Once again, you're spiraling, you're letting your anger get the best of you, as we've seen. Like, you've been boiling over just time, especially when it comes to Foggy. Stuff with Foggy makes you get a little lost in a fog. I mean, we already saw that in episode 4 when he popped off on Frank, when Frank was bringing up Foggy, and he hit Frank, and he was like, I'm sorry, I apologize. It's like, yeah, that rage is, I mean, it's always been there with Matt. Once again, the Murdoch boy's got the devil in him, so it's been burning beneath the surface, just coming out in little spurts like that. And it's, like I said, especially when it's stuff related to Foggy. So, at the same time this is all happening, we have the Fisk side of things where Fisk, like I said, is feel himself feeling good. Like things between him and Vanessa are good. Adam's dead. It's like this thing that was hanging over them is finally gone, and we're in a good place now. And he's congratulating Daniel by giving him deputy mayor of communications. Sheila's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't think that's, nope, shut up, Sheila. This is Daniel. She's like, I'll never let you down again. I know. I will burn for you. Oh, I know you will, Daniel. I know. It's like, as someone else says, it's like, Jesus Christ, Daniel, get off of Kingpin's dick already. Dude, oh my God. He is such a fanboy, obviously. And so then you have Buck being like, yeah, vigilanteism is down 30%. And it's like, because of the task force. But then Sheila's like, yeah, but there's like a lot of excessive force complaints against the task force. Like, oh, there's no such thing as excessive force. They're doing their job. And it's kind of, or at least excessive force is necessary in this regard. So, we have Bullseye making his escape. Once again, Matt inadvertently helping him because Bastard, I guess the whole situation left it like one of his teeth either getting knocked out or at very least loose enough that Bullseye was able to kind of like put it in, have it in his mouth. The guard's about to handcuff him again, and he just spits it in his face and his eye like a bullet. Then proceeds to kill both him and the doctor and manages to make his escape dressed up as a guard. You're like, well, shit, Matt, you let one of your great adversaries get away. And it's like, once again, you kind of inadvertently helped him do that. Wasn't your intention, but once again, you've gotten so sloppy lately. So you had the event itself where a multitude of things end up happening. I thought the Daniel and BB thing was weird because I was like, oh man, like BB's acting like okay with Daniel and congratulating, oh my God, you're deputy mayor of communications. Like the guy literally leaned on you pretty hard last episode. And he said, yeah, I was pretty hard about that. I'm sorry. I kind of went after you too hard, but come on, like look where we are. This is amazing. This is awesome and stuff like that. Because it's also like, yeah, at first I was like, well, maybe BB's using this to kind of perpetuate like, okay, like I got my inside track to the mayor and stuff like that by having Daniel being in a better position. But I was still like, man, like, would you really be like, because that was my big thing of like, you caved into the pressure from Daniel last episode. I mean, I even love the title in the newspaper. It's like, stopped and fist is, I was like, oh, that's cute. I once again, I'm someone who appreciates puns and wordplay. So, but I was like, yeah, you caved in with the whole Fisk of it all with your report and stuff. So that's why I was so confused. I'm like, what, like, are you just like okay with this? And then you have Gallows like looking at all, like he knows who these cops are. Like he is, as we know, as a commissioner, he is a good guy. He's kind of doing whatever Fisk tells him to because he is your boss for, you know, he kind of basically, you know, you have this indiscretion and you have this secret that he's blackmailing for you. You're stuck here, but now you have to look and you're looking, you're like, all of these cops are bad cops. I know they are. And they're up here looking like a mercenary squad, less like police, you know? And so he witnesses them like getting on a journalist or whatever, like a reporter who snuck in, taking photos, and they end up like frying the guy's hand in grease. I was like, ugh. And Gallows tries to stop him, but it's like, yo, they're all ganged up in there. It's like, oh, you can't do anything for us because we don't report to you. So BB runs over to him later on and he's asking, like, are you Fisk's little propaganda machine? And she's, because he's like, you know that Fisk was like the number one suspect in your uncle's murder, right? She's like, I do. Why do you think I'm here? I'm like, so this whole thing has been, in fact, you've been playing him. You wanted to get close to Fisk because you're trying to find anything to destroy him. You don't know if you'll ever find anything that'll prove he had anything to do with your uncle's death, but you're trying to destroy him from the inside. That's why you've been playing ball so much. Why you've kind of gone out of your way to get so close to him. It's for this purpose. And Daniel was that weak link. Like, you're doing a little push and pull with Daniel because she even said it herself. The real stuff, I don't write underneath my name. So part of me wonders, like, I mean, did she intentionally plan that whole thing of like, oh, when she published that stuff about all the stuff Daniel said to her, like, did she say that on purpose so Daniel would kind of push her, like, put them down the path that they're on? Like, did she calculate that? Or was that her just taking advantage of it? Like, no, I can publish this as BB York because you said that to me. I don't have to like sneak off. Because if I write that under my pseudonym, because she's like, yeah, I use a different name to like write real stuff. And she's like, if I use my pseudonym, Daniel would know about that and that kind of expose that other name. So I'd rather report that as BB Uric, being like, oh, he'll know where he got that from, where that came from. He's like, no, he knows he spoke to me directly. If I use my pseudonym, whatever that name is I'm writing under, that would be a bigger issue. So I'm like, okay. So I was like, interesting. So I don't think it was necessarily planned, but I think like in regards of leading up to where we are, but I think she calculated why she wrote it as BB Uric and not as like I said, whatever pseudonym she uses. So, but yeah, it's like, if you ever, like, she's like, this is my email, hit me up, because it's like, yeah, I have records on all the cops, all the dirty cops that are a part of Fisk task force, you know, because they both want to do good, because they're both in an impossible situation. She wants to take Fisk down, but she has to play ball just to get close to him. Gallo is hamstrung by like, well, I can't rein those cops in because they don't answer to me, and I'm also being blackmailed by Fisk, so I'm kind of in a tight spot, but I'm like, I want to like push back, but I can't. So this could be an opportunity for both of them. Once again, she has to go off and be like, hey, Daniel, yeah, shots. I was like, interesting. You're playing this up. So yeah, this is kind of all a little bit of a revenge tactic too. Like I said, might not be able to find anything to prove he killed your uncle, but at the very least, you can get justice by taking him down and exposing him for the criminal he is. So all the while this is going down, Heather's at the party alone and obviously trying to get in contact with Matt, but that doesn't seem possible. And Vanessa comes over to her and just like, oh yeah, like things are good between me and Fisk. We're probably done with therapy and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, cool. Glad you guys were able to bury the hatchet. You have Fisk sitting down with Jack, which I thought was interesting when Jack ran into that woman Aramis, and she was like, no, you haven't seen I don't know if it was like her husband or like her like main guard guy or whatever, but she was acting very skittish. So I'm assuming Fisk like kind of put her in her place. It's like, oh, you tried to humiliate me last time. Did you fucking forget who you were in business with? You want to look at me as like I'm just some third-rate thug or whatever. It's like, okay, I can bring out that criminal. I can bring out the kingpin if you need me to. And so he confronts Jack. Jack's like, yeah, I'm sorry I underestimated you. He's like, oh no, but the fact of the matter is, you're going to basically help fund my Red Hook proposition and stuff like that. It's like, why would I do that? It's like, oh, because I know you're the swordsman and there's enough here to have my task force up your ass and in your business. So what are you going to do? So Jack seems to have to capitulate now. And he's like, oh, is that a threat? And I love him using a Kingpin using Jack's words. Because no. It's a warning and putting his in. And I like when you look at Jack doesn't cower in fear. He's looking at Fisk, and even though there's this height difference and everything, Jack's just looking up to him like, all right, bet. Like, he didn't cower in fear. Like, he wasn't looking like Aramis. He kept his cool. I mean, it's not like Fisk will do anything at the party, but still, it's like, yeah, you got your goon squad you could send my way. So it's like, all right, we'll see how Jack handles that in the future. But yeah, Matt shows up at the party, and he's overhearing all of this, like the conversations between Jack and Fisk, and he's supposed to be listening to Heather, but he's so distracted. It's just like, once again, it's like your life is becoming unraveled because you're so focused on the Fisk of it all. You're kind of messing up and even Cherry said, like, you're basically imploding your own life, and even Matt was like, yeah, maybe I am, you know? But like, he wants to confront Fisk because he's like, he's not the guy you think he is. All right, come on, we'll have that conversation ourselves. And it's like, oh boy. Also, another real quick thing I just thought about too, about like, once again, Matt being sloppy. He didn't, when he had his cane when he was at Josie's, and then he left not using his cane. Josie's like, huh, he didn't use his cane, and Cherry's like, huh, I didn't notice. I was like, I love that. So once again, he's not thinking. He's so like, boom, boom, boom. Like, he's, like I said, being sloppy in a lot of ways. And so when it's all said and done, though, he tries to confront Fisk, but it's like, nope, that doesn't happen, because he starts dancing with Vanessa, and all eyes are on them. So Matt puts his cane on a tray. I was like, come on, like, and start dancing with her nearby. And then you have Fisk muttering, knowing that Matt's hearing all of it. You know, I was like, oh, like, you're saying stuff you definitely know I'm hearing, because you're like, I'm right beside you and stuff. Obviously, Buck tells them about Bullseye getting out of prison, that he might be on his way, but it's like, oh, we'll buff up security. But then Matt's hearing Vanessa's reaction to all of it. And hearing her heart beating the way it does, he's like, he pieces it together. It was her. She's the one that hired Bullseye. It's like, she's the one that had Foggy killed. It's like, he's like, yes, it makes sense. Fisk was still away at the time, like, I would, of course, like she was running things. He's like, once again, he was blinded by his, you know, he has tunnel vision when it comes to Fisk. He didn't even consider Vanessa, even though she was running the criminal world. Because that's the thing, like, but why would she do it? And even he never got an answer. Like, why were you trying to? Why did you kill Foggy? You know, and it's like once again, all the secrets were like Matt's dancing with Vanessa, confronting her. You have Fisk dancing with Heather, being like, yeah, like, oh, Matt seems a little off. She's like, yeah, I'm kind of worried and concerned. And then he's like, yeah, you know, and bringing up secrets and stuff like that. While Vanessa's like, oh yeah, because Matt's like, oh, does Fisk know that you hired Bullseye? And she's like, does Heather know that you're Daredevil? And you're just like, oh god, the literal secrets dancing on this tightrope in front of us. And then you have Bullseye getting like killing a cop and taking the gun and getting ready for a shot. This is kind of how messed up I am. I'm like, there's no way Matt's gonna like, because I was like, oh, he's gonna aim for Vanessa. I'm like, is Matt just gonna let her like catch a bullet just because the whole Foggy of it all? I'm like, would you let that happen? I'm like, I wouldn't think so, but I'm like, I don't know. Like it's effed up. I think maybe that speaks volumes more about me, but I'm like, I don't know. I was like, there's a part of me. I mean, we're talking about the same Matt that wasn't caring about anything and tossed Bullseye off a building. But it wasn't Vanessa he took a shot at. It was Fisk. And I was like, why would he? Oh, just like Matt. Because Matt only just figured it out. Bullseye's been under the impression the entire time that Fisk is the one that hired him, when it's like, no, it was Vanessa. But he, just like Matt, he just assumed, you know? I mean, because even Buck, when Buck was sent to deal with Luca in that whole Victor situation, they immediately assumed what? It was Fisk. That's been a recurring thing, and that's to Vanessa's benefit. Everyone just assume it's Fisk, even though it's like, no, it's him, it's Vanessa. You know, it's wrong Fisk that they're associating it with. But what also took me by surprise is Matt took a bullet for Kingpin, and you can even see him almost like, what the fuck? He would have never thought Matt would take a bullet from him. Because, like, regardless, like, Matt is, I mean, and sure, Matt's eyes, it's like, Kingpin is innocent of killing Foggy, so I shouldn't let you die. But he wouldn't let Vanessa die either. But it's still the thing of, wow, that is your sworn nemesis, and you took a bullet for him. To me, that was the most shocking thing in this episode. I mean, Matt getting shot, sure, but it's like, that is more shocking of, you took a bullet for this man you hate. But it's also like, right, you are a hero, and the hero thing would be to save even your worst enemy. That is insane, you know? And so, yeah, Bullseye lost his shot, and now they're going to be more prepared. And like I said, he's going to go for Fisk, thinking he's the one responsible. But then, like, Wilson's going to find out, wait, Vanessa, you were behind all of this? But the big question is, why? I guess whatever... Because I was like, I don't think we ever got the full details of Foggy's case. So I can only assume, like, whatever it was had ties to something Vanessa was involved in. It's kind of a loose end that she messed up, and now that thread is coming back to bite her in the ass. Like, both, like, Wilson thought a lot of stuff was buried. She thought so. I mean, that's why, so it wasn't Wilson that, because the belief was, like, oh, it was Fisk that put, him and Gen Pop, but it was like, no, that was Vanessa doing a lot of stuff in Wilson's name, as, you know, being Miss Mayor. She's was able to use Buck, and because, like I said, it seems like Buck answers more to her than he does Fisk. So I'm like, that is interesting. It feels like she's more his guy than he's Fisk, but we'll see how it all shakes up and plays out. Next episode is the season finale. It's going to be so fascinating to see how this all plays out and how this wraps up. Obviously, it's like, I guess it's going to be a crack. I mean, I guess Matt's going to have to, like, obviously suit up and deal with Bullseye again. But, yeah, especially with, like, an attempt on his life. And obviously, this is going to enhance the task force to go even crazier. So, I'm so curious to see how this season finale plays out. And obviously to see what it sets up for season 2. Oh, it's going to be wild and insane. But, I have no idea how to fully... I don't fully know how they expect this season to turn out, you know, so. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.